Done, the air in the twins felt heavy. It was thick with false cheer. Lord Walder Frey's hall was too loud, too bright. My son Robb sat beside his new bride. He smiled, but his eyes, Ned's eyes, held a shadow. I tried to share his joy. This alliance was vital. We needed the Freys, their swords, their crossing, yet a knot of unease tightened in my belly. It had been there for days, a whisper of warning I could not place, a mother's instinct perhaps, or just the weariness of war. The feast continued, course after course arrived, wine flowed freely, too freely I thought. Men grew boisterous, their laughter was harsh, it grated on my nerves. I watched the faces around me, so many Freys, so many unfamiliar soldiers. Their expressions were hard to read. Were they loyal or were they simply biding their time? The room felt like a trap, a gilded cage closing in. I sipped my wine, it tasted sour. Or perhaps it was the fear rising in my throat, a premonition I could not shake. Then the music shifted, the lively tunes faded, a new melody began, slow, haunting, chilling. I knew that song. Every northerner knew it. The Rains of Castamere. A song of Lannister triumph, a song of annihilation. Why would they play it here? Now? My blood ran cold. This was no mere entertainment. This was a message, a threat, a promise of doom. My heart hammered against my ribs. A silent scream built within me. This was wrong, terribly wrong. My gaze darted to Robb. He looked puzzled, annoyed, but not yet alarmed. He did not understand, not yet. Lord Frey's smile widened. It was a rictus, cruel and knowing. The musicians played on. Their faces were grim. Their eyes met no one. They were merely instruments, instruments of a terrible orchestration. The notes echoed through the hall, each one a nail in our coffins. The drumming began, a slow, steady beat, like a funeral march. The dread was a living thing now, coiling around me, suffocating me. My eyes scanned the high table. They settled on Roose Bolton. He sat beside Lord Frey, quiet, observant, always so quiet. His pale eyes, like chips of ice, gave nothing away. He had been a bannerman to my husband. He fought for my son, yet I never trusted him. There was a coldness about him, a cruelty that lurked beneath his soft words. He had advised Robb on many things, some good, some questionable. Now he watched the hall, his expression unreadable, but a flicker of something in his eyes made my skin crawl. Anticipation. He raised his cup, a toast perhaps, but his movements were too deliberate, too controlled. He wore fine silks, befitting a lord at a wedding feast. Yet something seemed amiss, the way the fabric lay across his shoulders, the slight stiffness in his posture. My mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments of my unease, the song, the atmosphere, Bolton's strange demeanour. It was a tapestry of terror, woven with threads of betrayal. I felt a cold sweat on my brow, my hands trembled. Then I saw it. A glint of metal beneath the cuff of his silk sleeve. Not a bracelet, not a clasp. It was chainmail. Dark, oiled chainmail, hidden beneath his wedding finery. My breath hitched. Armour. Why would Roose Bolton wear armour to a feast, to his king's wedding feast? Unless he expected violence, unless he planned it. The realization struck me like a physical blow. Betrayal, cold, calculated betrayal. The Freys were not alone in this. Bolton was with them. My stomach churned with a sickening certainty. My gaze flew to Robb. He was still oblivious, laughing at something Edmure said. So young, so trusting. He believed in honour, in oaths. He did not see the vipers in his midst. I wanted to scream, to warn him, to drag him from this hall of death, but my throat was constricted, my limbs felt like lead. The music swelled louder now, more menacing. The drums beat faster, a savage rhythm. The trap was sprung. We were caught, utterly caught, and the wolves were closing in for the kill. Suddenly the music stopped. Silence descended, heavy, pregnant. Then a sharp twang. An arrow hissed through the air. It struck a Stark man in the chest. He gasped, stumbled, fell. More arrows followed. A deadly rain. Screams erupted. Chaos exploded. Tables overturned. Wine goblets shattered. Men cried out in pain, in surprise, in terror. The Frey men-at-arms. They were everywhere, swords drawn, axes raised. Their faces were masks of grim determination or savage glee. The doors of the hall slammed shut, bolted from the outside. We were trapped completely. The musicians were not musicians. They were crossbowmen. They reloaded, fired again into the panicked crowd. Robb was on his feet, sword in hand, his eyes wide with disbelief, then with rage. "Treason!" he roared. His voice was almost lost in the din. The screams, the clash of steel, the thud of bodies falling. Blood began to pool on the stone floor. So much blood, it was a slaughterhouse. My small Petit Frey, my hostage, whimpered beside me. I grabbed him, pulled him close, a shield, a desperate, pathetic shield. I saw Roose Bolton rise. His sword was bare. He moved with a chilling calmness amidst the bedlam. His eyes scanned the room, looking for Robb, always for Robb. Stark men fought bravely, desperately, but they were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, surprised. They fell one by one. Their cries for mercy went unheeded. There was no mercy here, only death. I saw Talisa, Robb's queen, clutch her belly. An arrow protruded from her side. Her eyes met mine, filled with shock and an unbearable pain. She crumpled to the ground. Robb cried out her name, a sound of pure agony. He fought like a cornered wolf, cutting down Freys who dared approach, but more came, always more. The hall was a vision of hell, lit by flickering torches, filled with the stench of blood and fear. My mind reeled. This could not be happening. Not to my son, not to my king. Robb was wounded, an arrow in his leg, another in his shoulder. He stumbled, but he fought on. His direwolf, Grey Wind, was not here. Chained outside, howling, he knew. The animals always knew. I saw Lord Walder Frey watching from his high seat, his toothless mouth stretched in a horrific grin. He savoured this, every scream, every drop of Stark blood spilled. This was his vengeance, for a slighted pride, for a broken promise, a petty, cruel old man, destroying everything. I dragged Peter Frey closer. "Lord Walder!" I screamed. My voice was hoarse, raw. "Spare my son! Take me! I am the mother! Let Robb go! I beg you!" My words were lost in the tumult, or perhaps he heard and did not care. Roose Bolton approached Robb. Calmly, deliberately, he held a long sword, its point aimed at my son's heart. Robb looked at him. No fear in his eyes, only defiance and a terrible sadness. "Jaime Lannister sends his regards," Bolton said. His voice was soft, almost gentle. Then he thrust the sword home. Robb fell. My son, my king, my firstborn. He fell without a sound. His eyes stared blankly at the ceiling. The lifeblood poured from him, staining the floor crimson. A scream tore from my throat, a sound of utter desolation, of a mother's heart breaking into a million pieces. I no longer cared for my own life. What was life without my children, without Ned, without Robb? It was an empty, barren wasteland. I had failed them all. I had failed to protect them. I felt a blade at my own throat, a Frey soldier. His eyes were cold, empty. I barely registered his presence. My world had ended with Robb's last breath. I thought of Bran, of Rickon, lost, alone. I thought of Arya, wild, fierce, hopefully far from this horror. And Sansa, a captive in King's Landing. My sweet Sansa. Would they ever know peace? Would winter ever end? The blade bit deep, a searing pain. Then blessed darkness. Silence, at last. The Red Wedding was complete. The Starks were undone. Or so they thought.